Alright, hey guys, welcome back to Games I Bought Recently, episode 32, part 2. And what do you say I show you those Sega Saturn games? Now, there's a little story behind this. I was on eBay, and this is one of those finds on eBay where it just makes you really excited to get a good deal like this. But it was one of those auctions where I actually didn't think the seller was going to sell it to me. It was a buy it now. They had just listed it, and the price was so good I couldn't believe it. It was one of those ones where I just quickly read the description because I couldn't believe what I was seeing, bought it, and I honestly thought the seller was going to contact me and say, I'm sorry, the price was a mistake, I've got to relist it, here's a refund. I was praying that didn't happen because I looked at their other items afterwards, and most of their other games, which were Sega Saturn imports, were priced correctly. One or two games that were pretty valuable, they priced them out correctly. But for some reason, this lot of games was just super low. Because if they had actually done their research, just one of the games in this lot was worth the price of the entire lot of games. So I don't know why they didn't do their research or what. But, I got the games, and I'm really excited to have them because there were a lot in here that I've actually thought about buying separately before. So let's start with this one here. And if you didn't know, on Sega Saturn import games, either the English translation or a way that you can actually pronounce it will be on the spine on one side, the other side will be Japanese. So this is where I will be referencing to pronounce these games. And this is Jikyu Oshaberi Parodius Forever With Me. And I've never played a Parodius game before, which is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, or a cute-'em-up, where it's sort of like a parody on shooters, and I'm really excited to give this a try. The next one is Twinkle Star Sprites, which is it's a shoot-'em-up, but it's also sort of like a puzzle game. And I've heard really good things about this game. Well, first I should probably say how much I paid for this lot. If I remember right, with shipping, it was only like $110, $115, something like that. This game right here, just off the top of my head, I think goes for like $60 or $70. So that one right there is worth almost the entire price of the auction alone. Next is another one that I showed off in my video for my most valuable games in my collection, and that is Super Tempo, which loose copies of this game go for like anywhere from $100 to $150. This one's actually sealed. So the price on this can be whatever a collector's willing to pay for it. So I saw this and I was like, God, I was actually kind of disappointed that it was sealed because I really wanted to play this game, and there's no way in hell I'm opening this now, so oh well. Not complaining though. This is the Tana Twinbee Yahoo Deluxe Pack, another shooter series where I have never played a Twinbee game, so I'm definitely looking forward to giving this a try. Silhouette Mirage. This is it's a game that was released outside of the Japanese Saturn, but it's a little bit expensive. It's on the PlayStation 1. You don't really need to know Japanese to play it, so hell, I'll take a Japanese Saturn version. I also got Clockwork Knight, which this here is actually a combination of the first and the second game, so it's sort of like a double pack. But it also came with Clockwork Knight 1 and 2. Now, of course, I have these on the US Saturn, so these are kind of just extras, but I don't mind having the Japanese versions. I've got a box copy, which comes with the RAM cart for Vampire Savior, which is from the Darkstalker series. It's a fighting game. Not too much in the fighters, but I'm really, I'm happy to have this. Got a Japanese copy of Astral, which I do have a US version of, but don't mind having the Japanese version of that. An excellent, excellent platformer, guys. If you have not played Astral, and that's A-S-T-A-L, definitely pick this up for the Sega Saturn. This game here is really interesting, and it's Nanasu Kaze no Shima Monogatari. And this is sort of like an adventure game. Unfortunately, it is a little bit text-heavy, but you can kind of feel your way through the game and get through it. I've watched some videos on YouTube. But this has some of the best animation I have ever seen on a console from that generation. Like, this game looks amazing. The sprite work, the animation in here. Maybe one day I'll do a quick video on this. It's not going to be a review because I can't beat this game. But just to show you guys the animation and, the stuff that the Saturn was capable of. And, man, this game just never came out to America. It's so sad, but I would die to play a translation of this game, or just read a script when I play through it. So if any of you have this game, can do a translation, I'd even, pay you, honestly, to do a translation of this game. Not much, but, as a fan of the game, as a fan of the Saturn, maybe you translate it, and I'll give you a little dough, because that's how interested I am in playing a translation of this game. I got Assault Suit Lanos 2. This is a side-scrolling mech game. It's supposed to be really challenging, but it's got some really nice graphics to it. Got Darius 2, another shoot-'em-up. This game here is from Atlas, and it is Prekura Dai Sakusen. And this is a isometric view action RPG of sorts, and it's totally playable without knowing Japanese, and it's really quirky. It's got that Atlas sense of style, so definitely a game that I was actually going to buy this in the past for like $40 separately, so the fact that it came in the auction, I was really happy. This one here is Panzer Dragoon Saga Azel. I have the US copy already, but I do not mind owning the Japanese version for my collection. This one here is another game that's pretty darn expensive, and that's Wonder 3 Arcade Gears. This comes with 3 games. One of them is Roosters, Chariot, and the other one I can't read the name because it's in Japanese, but it's sort of like a puzzle game. One of them is a shooter, though. This is pretty highly sought after, so definitely happy to have that. And lastly was a copy of Guardian Heroes, the Sega Saturn version, the import version. I don't have this as the US version. I do have it downloaded on Xbox Live Arcade, but it's nice to have a physical version of it now. So yeah, all those games for like $100, $110. It was, I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. Alright, I do have a couple more other Saturn games. They weren't from the same lot, but I kind of bought them separately on my own. I talked about this one real briefly in one of my Mr. Unboxing videos, and that's Ninpen Manmaru. It's a platformer where you play as a ninja penguin. And I got Steel Dom, which sort of is like a knockoff of the Virtual On series. This was really cheap. It was like $7 with shipping, so I figured I'd try that. The gameplay looked pretty fun. I do plan on doing a review on this probably eventually, and that's Karyotose. It's a party game where it's sort of like, think of it as Smash Brothers, but not quite. Just the concept where you play in an arena and you just try and toss your teammates off the stage. Really simple. You know, each player has one special move and one regular attack, and you can jump, and it's very simple, but it's a really fun game. I've got Bomberman Fight, which is a battle arena Bomberman game that's not like other Bomberman games. This game is very chaotic, very hectic. Think of it like Bomberman 64 in a way, but like times 100. I'll probably do a video on this one eventually as well. Really happy to have this. I was after a copy of this for a good price for quite some time, and that's Tsukyo Gurentai, which is a shoot-'em-up which many consider to be, some people consider this to be the best shooter on the Sega Saturn. Another shooter, really good graphics, really good music, very challenging, a lot of fun. I played through this once already. I'll definitely be going back to it. This one here doesn't have the English on it, but I do remember the name, and that's Hansha Day Spark. This is sort of like a puzzle game where there's these barriers in the levels. It's top-down view, sort of looks a little bit like Bomberman. And you shoot these like metal yo-yo spinners, and there's these boards in the levels that you can move around that will determine which way the balls will reflect off of the sort of shields that you can tilt around, and you have to try and hit the enemies with it. Really fun, really simple. It's got a battle mode, it's got a story mode, a puzzle mode. It's actually a really fun game. I was really excited to get this one, and I was actually a bit disappointed with it, so thank God I didn't pay the market value for this game, because it's normally pretty expensive, but I got a really good deal on it. And that's Guardian Force. Another shooter, but what makes this one really unique is that instead of playing as a ship, you play as a tank, and you can actually direct your fire in 360 degrees around your tank. And the music's kind of underwhelming, graphics are a bit underwhelming, the gameplay wasn't quite as fun as I thought it would be. Not disappointed I bought it in any means, I really wanted to try this, but I'm just happy I didn't pay the usual like $80 this game commands. Okay, this one is Moteki Tomago with Ganabre Kamenohashi. That's a mouthful. I haven't had a chance to play this yet, but it's sort of like a another Bomberman-esque game where you play as a platypus and you have to, or a chicken, and you have to try and like go around the level and hatch your little hatchlings and keep it away from other players that are trying to steal your hatchlings. I don't know if that's even the concept of this game. I watched a video of it and it looked really fun, and it looked like a game you didn't have to know Japanese to play, so I picked that up. And lastly, one that I'm very excited to have, another game that usually goes for a lot of money, and I only had to pay like $15 for this, and that is Dungeon Master Nexus. This is a first-person dungeon crawl game where most of the menus are in English, or it has like visual icons to make it very English friendly. And I didn't even know about this game's existence until a few months ago. And it's 3D polygonal dungeon crawl. It plays much like, you know, the Eye of the Beholder type games or the Might and Magic type games. So really excited to play that. Or of course the Dungeon Master games, but I've never played a Dungeon Master game before. And lastly, I almost forgot to mention this one. It's Night Striker S. And this is sort of like, in similar style to, say, a Space Harrier game, where it's a behind view, and you almost want to play this with the Saturn joystick controller, which I don't have. But this is the game I've been after for quite some time, and instead of playing it with like a Space Harrier theme, you play in like a cyberpunk, almost Blade Runner kind of environment where you play as this black car that floats in the air. Looks really good. Looks like a lot of fun, so I'm happy to have that. And guys, that's going to do it for part 2. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'm going to go over, I've got some PC Engine games and PlayStation 1 games and a couple of games for the Wii and such. So, guys, thanks for watching.